My next guest actually knows a thing or two about New York. Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett was born in Brooklyn, growing up in Bushwick. She later served as an assistant district attorney in the Bronx, and she knows a thing or two about Trump because she served as one of the managers of his second impeachment trial. Congresswoman Plaskett joins me now. Congresswoman, it's great to see you again. Thank you so much for coming on the show. As someone who's had experience with New York crime cases, what do you make of Jim Jordan all of a sudden caring about New York City's crime policies and bringing the circus to town, so to speak?
Of course, Jim Jordan is not concerned about New Yorkers' lives and the well-being of New Yorkers. As we've seen in the first 100 days of the Republican-controlled Congress, they really have no policies that are about affecting the lives of any American. It's really about theatrics, grievances, and politics and running interference for their leader, Donald Trump. And that's exactly what this hearing is about.
Yeah, and to your point, I mean, Jordan isn't the only Republican attacking Bragg. Donald Trump just attacked him again this morning on his social media platform. We know when the GOP attacks Bragg, there's a spike in the number of threats against him. And, you know, this week, Bragg's office was sent a letter, a threatening letter containing white powder. It's the second time in a month that something like that has happened. Authorities said the powder was non-lethal, but presumably Trump and his allies know, and they must be aware, that something like this happens as a result of their rhetoric. Don't you think they're doing this with intent?
Well, I think the intent is to stop the criminal investigation, the criminal trial of President Trump. And there's, you know, a definite line that we in a separate branch of government must exercise, particularly when there is a criminal investigation, a grand jury has found sufficient evidence to bring an indictment of the president, and we should be very careful about engaging and interfering or appearing to engage in interfering in those kinds of investigations. You know, and what's really rich about all of this is that in the last year, we know that shooting incidents have been down in New York. There have been enormous amount of contribution of successes in guns being brought off the streets of New York. And most of those guns are being traced back to Republican states, red states, where there are insufficient gun control laws to stop the proliferation of guns in our community. Jim Jordan and others are not willing to talk about that. They're not willing to talk about mass shootings. They're not looking at substantive ways to bring down crime. And they are not even interested in law enforcement, as we've seen through January 6th. And the only time they'll bring out support of law enforcement is when it is against other people other than themselves.
And the mother of all ironies has to be this House Weaponization Committee. I know that you sit on it with Jim Jordan. You're its ranking member. Your GOP counterparts are complaining that Joe Biden is weaponizing the government against them. But as I said, it's the mother of all ironies that they are not aware of targeting a local prosecutor for an investigation they don't like and bringing the full force of their congressional powers in the House against Alvin Bragg to try and stop him from doing his job.
Ayman, they continually engage in projection. Right. Most of the discussions that they have against other individuals are really looking quite at themselves, looking at the mirror of themselves. When we want to talk of the weaponization of the federal government, we need only
Congressman Plaskett, I think we may have lost your connection. We'll see if we can reestablish it and try to continue this conversation. Oh, Congresswoman, you're there?
You got me back?
Yeah, we got you back. Sorry, you froze for a second, but go ahead. Finish your thought.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking about the weaponization that occurred in the Trump administration. Right? As well as we've seen recent testimony by his own chief of staff, John Kelly, and others, that Trump wanted to weaponize the FBI, wanted DOJ to go after any individual who had anything to say against him. And this is the same projection that they are now doing.
All right. Looks like she may have frozen again while she was talking about the attempt there by the House Judiciary Committee under Jim Jordan's leadership to go after Alvin Bragg for trying to hold Donald Trump accountable for his alleged crimes. Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, thank you so much